All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Five Cents Podcast. If you're a returning listener, you already know what's going on. We're just five guys. We sit down, talk about things going on in the world. Just have goofy, fun conversations with each other. I'm with the usual crew. We got Jackson,
What's up?
Josh,
What's good?
KingNathe,
What's up, y'all?
and Nico.
What's up?
All right. So I'm your host. I'm Zay. I'm the host today. And something that I thought was pretty interesting that's been going on that I've been seeing like around like Twitter, Instagram is it's a little sad, but do y'all know who Gabby Petito is? Y'all heard of Gabby Petito?
I don't know. Who is that?
I do know
Okay,
about
so the reason why is recently there's been like a string of missing women like due to human trafficking, like it's picking up, it's getting bad, and like young women are just disappearing like all over. And Gabby Petito she's a what was she 22-year-old woman. She went on a van like trip around the world, I guess, with her fiance, and she went missing. And then they found her body, and but the fiance is still alive. He's not saying anything, yada yada. So they think that he killed her. But basically, while she was missing, the main uproar about it is, what happened is sad, and she deserves justice, like everyone else. But people are pointing out at like how fast the news like spread it around, how everyone like started searching and joining in. But they pointed out that like when like black women disappear or other minority women disappear, they don't get even an ounce of the same like effort. And they were saying, some people took it to the extreme. Like I saw some people saying like we won't care about Gabby Petito until you care about and then it'd be someone's name and it'd be like a missing black woman. And I was like, okay, I think that's a little extreme. I just wanted to hear like what y'all thought about that, if y'all knew anything about it.
Yeah, so I had a little experience with like the subject and the story specifically because my little sister has been following it really closely. She's like really intrigued by that story, and not in like a bad way, but so she had been kind of like giving me updates as to what was happening, and then I did a little research myself. And you're absolutely right. There's like this huge I guess conversation that's kind of arising now in the sense that the media essentially recognized very quickly that her story was marketable. You've got like because she's just like petite little white girl and her fiance, and she goes missing, and then it becomes this manhunt for the fiance and everything. And so they quickly saw how marketable that story was and ran with it. And what I think the conversation centers around the most, and you're absolutely right about this, is the public response, because you had this, essentially you could almost call it a movement, right? Of people sweeping the nation trying to like find this guy, or, when they were looking for her body and stuff. And it even got so far that like, my sister's a sophomore in high school who like she has no connection to this story at all. She's invested, she's intrigued. And it really shows the polarity as to like it's not like this journalism is happening specifically for a good cause. It's not like it's just being done out of pure like charity or pure kindness. A lot of the time it comes at what the media decides is going to be marketable, what they decide is going to run successfully, and that often comes at the detriment of minorities. So yeah, there's absolutely a discussion to be had for like the uh, inequality in that representation. And I think you're absolutely right. I think that it's like I obviously don't think that it's right to ignore people, even though others are being ignored. Two rights don't make or two wrongs don't make a right. But that being said, there's equivocacy in that statement. Like there needs to be some kind of standard, because this whole thing has become essentially a nationwide manhunt, and it's a specific incident that you could go along class and racial lines and define as like, yeah, this is what they figured would be good, instead of actually running it based on we need to find somebody who's missing because they need help.
Let me jump in real quick. So yeah, this is my first time hearing about this. But something that came to my mind is okay, if you look at like the past 100 years, I definitely say that America has come a long way in the diversity and minority aspect.
Absolutely.
If you're looking between a 100-year range, but if you look back at like the history for the U.S., I always like heard this saying that the person that was like weakest in power and looked down upon like the worst was always like the black woman. If you looked at it like society wise, it was like the black woman was like at like the bottom of like the totem pole. There was nothing lower than a black woman for everything. That's why it took them so long to get to where they are with like rights. And now, even today, I change it. I tweak it from black woman to minority woman because that's still, I guess, the lowest you could be in our society today. And it shows you that kind of throughout these years, even though we're still getting better, is I don't want to say nothing has changed, but there's still too much progress to be made. Those people are absolutely right for being mad at the fact that, like, there's no light being shed on the fact that this is happening to all women. They're not just like hand picking these women. They probably fall into a certain age, certain build. That's the criteria for like what's going on right here. That has nothing to do with race. So anyone can get snatched in this situation. But we're only shedding light, like Jackson said, to a more marketable, more approachable situation. And it's definitely not fair to these families that have lost their children because of some nonsense like this, and like no one cares. Like imagine the way those families and family members feel about this, that their child, daughter, cousin, niece is not cared about because she happens to, not be white. And it's sad but true to say that that's still the society that we live in today. And with all the vast improvements we've made, we're nowhere near where we're supposed to be. But I also agree with Jackson in the fact that like that doesn't mean on the minority side that now you shun out the other side, the other opposition, because there shouldn't be another opposition. We should all be trying to shoot towards the same goal. But part of our problem is the fact that we always think that you got to pick sides. Oh, we got to be in battle. I got to be fighting for something. No, you don't. You don't. You honestly don't need to. We should just be trying to better one another, and look out for one another. And we struggle with that. So it's a two-sided thing now. One side, outweighs the other, but both matter in this aspect. So it sucks to hear that this is going on, but I mean, there are certain things that definitely could be done to help improve this. But that's my take.
Yeah, I'd probably agree for sure. Like, I don't know too much about the situation, so I can't really speak on as many of the details. But I will say this has been a problem with media for a very long time, even outside of just from like this situation with the trafficking and things of that nature. But like they always say a white person kills some or shoots up a school or thing that along that lines, and they're a troubled team. But a brown person doesn't, they're a terrorist. It's that same type of issue that kind of transcends a lot of crimes and kind of a lot of terrible stuff that goes on in the world today. But I definitely don't think that we should kind of take away from the severity of a situation like this just because it does kind of lean towards more of her attributes as opposed to a lot of women who have gone through these type of things and haven't had the same type of support. Even though it's like a crazy situation and we wish that everyone would be equal, that's just not the reality. And the point that we've gotten into today's world, which it is getting better over time. It was a lot worse a long time ago, but there's always room to improve, and there's always room to make sure that people get the same treatment and the equality that everyone deserves. Because at the end of the day, this is a person's life, this is a person's family. There's a lot of trauma that goes into some of these situations. So but I do hope that aside from kind of the inequality that came from some of these situations, that we do continue to put the money in and support in to help stop kind of these things from happening and making awareness of it. Because in general, like the more we talk about just the issue of kind of these women disappearing, the trafficking in general, it kind of gets even those who wouldn't support it as much because it might not be someone who looks like them, or someone who looks like them might not get the same support. You're still getting educated on the topic. You're still learning kind of ways to prevent this and ways to help people in your home, your friends, your family, the woman in your life from experiencing this type of trauma. So definitely hope people still continue to kind of support these type of issues for sure.
No, but pretty much what I was gonna say is, in situations like this, there's no way you can make everybody happy because look, there's gonna be something going on every day. There's always gonna be somebody. There's gonna be somebody getting abducted. Somebody getting kidnapped, and the news isn't gonna cover every single thing going on. You know, so I feel like in this aspect, kind of going on with what Jackson and Josh said, it's just picking the marketable story. I mean, and it's as simple as that. And I also feel like something that I've noticed is the news and like different media outlets that a lot of times they cover material that ends up diversifying us as people. So I mean, it's kind of like a hidden agenda. I feel like not trying to get too deep into that conspiracy theory shit, but I don't know. Like I usually don't even dwell too much into the media stuff in the first place. But I don't know. I feel like me personally, I understand why it's being taken so seriously because, I mean, if you think about it, you really don't see a lot of, like, African-American women being covered, especially in, like, the human trafficking aspect. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, for myself, I just don't really look too much into that media shit because I know, like, how corrupted it can be, So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's sad. It's a very sad situation, and I feel sorry for the family, everybody involved. But, I mean, it's tough, and this stuff happens every day, But I mean, not trying to like take away from the situation or anything, but if everything could be covered, I'm sure there would be, So
Yeah, it's kind of a situation where you have a divide where like charity is meeting like what you genuinely know is a problem. Like you're staring in the face of like inequality, but that can't. I essentially, in my mind, that can't stand in the way of your ability to like try and help this family if you feel so inclined, or be caring or like contribute to the manhunt or whatever they're doing. It's a shame in the sense that you can recognize, and I feel like most people hopefully should recognize that separation exists, that African American women aren't portrayed nearly to this degree in the media because they simply don't see it as marketable, and that's awful. And but that being said, that has to be almost a separate issue in my mind. Similar to kind of what Nate said, like that doesn't necessarily stand in the way of your ability to help people who are struggling and to see suffering and want to mitigate it. Because no matter what, you're seeing suffering just of two different kinds. You're seeing the suffering of a group of people and the suffering of someone who just lost someone they cared about. And there is no correct way to ignore one in pursuit of the other. You have to be able to recognize that both are valid, and they might be in contrast, but you can meet both ends by trying to essentially be good to both.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you just even out the scale, it's like sure she did deserve to be searched. She did deserve to be searched for. Her remains deserve to be found. Like
Absolutely.
the guy deserved to be hunted down, but it shouldn't just be for her. Like it should be for anyone who's in that situation, for anyone who got snatched, for anyone who got abducted, killed, like for just anyone who went missing, because everyone has a family. You came from somewhere, and it sucks for the people who, like Josh is saying, it sucks for their families because now you have these families thinking, they're crying, their lives are disturbed. It's like a meteor just crashed down for them because that's how important that person is to them. And they go around and they're looking out and they're asking for help, trying to get the news spread around, trying to get, all these companies to pick it up and run it on the air. And no, we don't think we'll do, and it'll probably make them feel so small, like we can't get anyone to help. They're missing, we just want them to come home. Just like her parents, that's all they were thinking. They just wanted her to come home, and they were willing to, do whatever they had to do. But everyone's like that, and it shouldn't be for, just white people. It shouldn't be for, oh well, now that it's kind of blatantly obvious, like, oh well, we're gonna pity help you now, so now they get more attention than them. It should be for everyone in general, regardless of race. It shouldn't matter. They're people, and something unfortunate happened to them, and they need help, and they should be helped on that basis and that basis alone. But that was my take on it, because it was pretty. When I first heard about it, I was like, huh. I didn't think too much about it. I was just like, it sounds like a bunch of angry people, But then I was like, wait, let me look at it. and I just clicked, and then I just kept clicking, and I started looking, and I was like, wow, this is where we're at right now. This is not okay.
Yeah. It sucks that something so like humanitarian and altruistic could be problematic, right? That there would be a divide in something that should be so basic, right? Like someone's missing, help out, like aid somebody in need. But unfortunately, that's the way that it is.
And it just shows how like deep rooted that separation is amongst us. You know what I'm saying? It's sad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and not trying to keep it dark, but one last thing is, it always hits home, for people differently when you get to hear, about it. So, like, have you guys ever, like, witnessed a situation like that where, someone was like, you witnessed racism, or, like, someone was denied something because of the way they were raised? Like, have y'all ever been in or witnessed a situation like that?
I mean, kind of just in general, I feel like we kind of see that on a smaller scale in everyday life, honestly, because just as everyone a minority in this podcast, you kind of go see things differently and have different experience than your average person would have. We're kind of brought up and trained to learn to act this certain way or do this certain thing. Big things, code switching that everybody says is a joke, but that's actually a real way you have to live your life in order to be successful. Is the points that you need to be to. So I don't have any like specific. Well, there's a lot of specific stories I could get into, but I feel like it's kind of even more important in every single day that there's a different way we have to see things that a lot of people don't really realize and don't experience. So when they say the situation you come from, oh, it's not that different, or oh, you don't really have to do much, or I don't see why it's such a big deal. It's a big deal because every year of our life is changed and tailored to the way that society thinks that we should act, or society is comfortable with us acting. You feel what I'm saying? So same way that they kind of twist the media to present bad situations like that, where black women aren't getting the support they need. A lot of times whether it's just a money issue or just kind of a community issue, a lot of times minorities don't at all get the same treatment that a lot of people would. It's kind of the biggest place that I see it at.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Nate, are you cool with me talking about we were heading back from the concert?
Oh yeah, I can tell that story.
Yeah, that
that's
was
gonna
gonna
make me
be the
mad.
perfect example. Yeah, I was gonna say.
So just a quick example. The first time I ever this is one of the first interactions I ever had, kind of in like a car crash or like dealing with police, that type of thing. So it was my senior year of high school, and I was driving. I actually went Christmas shopping with some of my friends, and we were going back to school. Seniors half days, whatever. And so they left or whatever, and I was going back to drive. Drive back to school. Quizzes and studying for finals and stuff like that. And as I'm driving, I get hit by this lady in this car, right? And so first thing on my mind is like, damn, this is crazy. Even though we both hit each other, I was like, oh, well, let me make sure this lady's all right. So I go up to her window. She refused to roll down her window. She doesn't say anything, doesn't say a word, just looks at me, just points back, refuses to roll down her window. So I'm like, all right, cool. Coincidentally, she had, a couple NRA stickers, a couple, certain type of flags on the back of her car. So I knew what the deal was when I was getting into it. And then, so, as soon as I go up there, so we're waiting on the cop. I'm sitting outside. It's cold outside. This is December. This is the end of the semester. So, it's chilling. And as I'm coming outside, the cops pulls up there. A bunch of different people come out because it was at a mall in the place that I lived. A bunch of people come out the mall, and they're like, oh, and this dude hit this, and all this stuff. He slammed into her car. He was speeding through the parking lot, all this extra stuff. And then even some of the lady comes out and she's like, oh, this nigga came through and hit me in the back of the car, and I couldn't do anything. And I'm just sitting there amazed because not only did she, which I assumed she was going to be acting a different type of way just because, that's the type of vibe she gave off. But a bunch of just random people who had nothing to do with the experience basically came out and blatantly told a different story just because they saw some black kid hit this old white lady, and this black kid and this white lady got in a crash, and there's no chance she could be wrong. And, luckily for me, the cop, worked with us and had some sense, and I didn't get in any crazy trouble. But just situations like that are just standard situations that would never happen to me had I not been, a black dude driving in the South. You feel what I'm saying? So it's an interesting take on life.
I'm sorry that happened, bro.
Yeah. Apologies.
Yeah, me hearing that story, I'm just like, bro, I am glad that cop looked at that car crash and said, Ain't no way, boy.
He
Ain't
saw
no way.
like the
That's
way
what he
that
said.
like the entire like front axle on my car had been like bent in a certain way that he was like, "There's no way all of this can be true." Like, there was like basically they were saying like, "Oh, you know, he pulled out and he was speeding and all this extra crazy stuff," and I was like, the fact that I had come out the intersection and she hit me with such force that the entire axle on my car almost came off. There's no way that it was 100% me just eating into her type of thing. So
Yeah, that crowd dynamic is wild too. The bystanders. That's
Dude, man.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, it's crazy. There are people I've witnessed that. Like people with if one person says something or if one person like voices their opinion, people will just snap in line. And it's like seeing that switch in people it's so crazy, you know? It's like, wow. But what do you think? Like, do you actually think that, or are you just riding the wave, and why? You know, why would you do that?
It's
What about what
crazy
you
to
think?
see how it's crazy to see how like confirmation bias plays into people's interpretation of events, because regardless of what side you see, like regardless of what opinion, what stance you have on any relation in this country, on any movement in this country, anytime that there's a major event, there are, at least recently, there are two very polarized sides, and the information that circles within the two logistically is more or less the same. It's just the spin on that information that's different. So in Nate's case, the information about that crash was consistent throughout the crowd. These two people hate each other, but the take that everyone took on it was just their confirmation bias. It was what they wanted to believe. It was, they recall the events in a manner that makes sense to them because it's the way that they've set it up. Just like Nate said, this black kid crashing this old white lady, there's no way she could be wrong, right? It has to be his fault. And it is wild to see, like, when you look at these events, how some of the exact same objective events played out in the exact same order can receive entirely different treatments by two different groups of people. And I think a great example would be Capitol Hill, January 6th, or whatever that was, because that was a very significant event that's impossible to not cover in some objective way. You have to state what happened, right? People breached the Capitol. But regardless of which take you see on it, there are two very polarized, completely different takes on the exact same thing. And it's purely just motivation and what people want to believe about the course of those events. Some people want to believe that it was a push for freedom against a tyrannical election. And some people want to believe that it was a, domestic terrorist attack, which, like, that difference is wild to me, that there's such a dichotomy, and something that I thought was pretty clear cut. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, they're storming the Capitol. That's pretty awful. like I think most people, when you see a force storming the Capitol, you're like, you probably should do that, bro. Like, that's not exactly chill. But I don't know. It's
Nah,
so seeing that play out into like something as personal as Nate's story is just crazy. It
It's
seems so
wild.
big picture on like the news, but to hear that it happened to you is wild.
yeah,
It's crazy.
that is one of the couple stories. So
And you know
yeah.
what's even more crazy is I even think that it's because it's taught at such a young age, because it even happened from like minority, like on minority, like even like me being raised, I can like look at like another minority person based off of like the way that they dress and talk. I'm already assuming stuff. And like this is someone that looks like me. That's honestly ridiculous. The fact that like it's so ingrained to us to like look at a situation and automatically come to a conclusion without knowing anything involving the situation. We just look and we're like, oh yeah, this is it. When in actual reality, without actual facts or evidence on anything that happened, there's no way we should be jumping to conclusions. Yeah, maybe have like, I don't know, a slight thought in your mind, because there's some things that you just like can't shake. But like the fact that we're able to assume, like this example is the best case. They just assume, didn't even see it. They just come out, they looked. Oh yeah, he had to. What are you talking about? You didn't watch the accident happen, so you really shouldn't be saying any. You shouldn't even have an opinion because you didn't see it happen. So that's something that's also on like all of us. I don't think it should be looked on like a one-sided thing. I think us as people need to get out of the habit of like automatically assuming something's going on based off of the way it looks and like who's involved. So I don't know what it will take for us to get to that point, or if it will ever happen. But I mean, all we can do is hope.
I know I'm talking a lot, but I have a brief little aside before you go, Nico, just real quick. But a funny example of that, what you're talking about, Josh, and I personally think it'd be really hard to avoid that, only because people are taught to inference, right, to take information and make an educated guess, and it's a manner of like keeping yourself safe and other things. Like there are components that are helpful, but I'm not sure if we've told the story on the podcast. If we have, then I won't tell the full story. I was just gonna tell the beginning. Is when Josh and I met. So we're roommates for everyone listening, and when Josh and I met, I actually he and I both did the same thing to each other. That exact same thing. Because I just saw his name on a piece of paper, and it just said Josh E. And I was like, okay, Josh E. Tennessee Tech. I'm probably dealing with a guy like from an area like I grew up in. So I'm gonna dress in khakis and a polo shirt, buttoned all the way to the top, and walk in all crisp and proper. And as you can tell, that's not what I got. So I walked in, and Josh looked at me like, "Oh my!" He was like, "Not this guy." And I looked at Josh, and I was like, "No, dude, there's no way." And so it took a few days to kind of reconcile that initial misjudgment on my part. And so that's just an example of like it's so prevalent. I just wanted to speak to that too. But go ahead, Nico.
I was just gonna say it's called unconscious bias, and a lot of people have very like strict unconscious bias based off of like the way media or like society has portrayed a certain group of or ethnicity. And so, I think one thing that people are gonna have to work on, if we're gonna expect change in situations like this, is work on that unconscious bias. Learn for yourself. You know what I'm saying, and like realize that everybody needs to be treated equally. You don't have to like think a certain way about a certain person just because of what you hear, from something else, or see based on like what other people are saying, or what you see on the media. And also another thing that I stand by, I say it all the time, is that a lot of times the reason, conflicts even happen is because people are nosy as hell. Like if people could just mind their damn business, a lot of shit in the world wouldn't even be going on. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think people just have to work on like that unconscious bias they got and just minding their damn business, and everything will be fine. Honestly.
Oh my gosh, dude, you saying that? I don't know why I didn't think of this. I'm so sorry, but literally, so a show just came out recently on Netflix called Clickbait, and I don't know who's in here has seen it, but literally the concept of that show is about the way social media can influence like biasness, and how we have that pretty much like ingrained into our brain. Like if you watch this show or if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because the media points out all these different events based off of the way that they perceive the information, and you live the story through like different people's lenses. Each episode is through a different person, and you see how that situation is affecting them and those around them. And then at the end, you get to see how the actual story unfolded. And then it leaves you to think while you're watching it, did you make the right judgment? Did you assume the right thing? And then like if you realize if you're like right or wrong, you reflect on yourself like, damn, I can't believe I assumed it was going to be this person because of XYZ, when actually I should have looked at the clues from the actual facts that were said and mentioned. So it's a great show to just look at and literally see what we're talking about. And I think it was like 8 episodes or like 10 episodes real quick. So yeah, that's a great show to watch if you want to see this firsthand. So
I might watch it tonight.
Yeah, Netflix needs to pay me, bro. I just advertised that mug, bro. No sponsorship, bro. That's crazy.
Not yet,
You're
bro.
right. You're right. You onto something right
gosh,
there,
bro. It's bro. Thank you, bro. Cause the next thing that I was gonna say is, kind of get it off of that, was actually about a Netflix show that came out. I'm pretty sure all of y'all seen it. I've watched y'all watch it. Squid Games. You know what I'm saying? Now I have not seen it, so I'm giving all of y'all a job. The 4 of y'all have a job, not just for me, but the other people out there who are like me, who just haven't seen it. You got a job. You got to convince us to watch it because we don't know anything about it. And I haven't been following the hype, so like I really haven't heard much about it.
All right, I got 3 words for you, bro. That shit's fire.
Hell nah. I mean, he's not wrong though.
I don't need to say nothing else to you, bro. That shit's fire.
All
Alright,
I'm
fill
gonna
in
say
the
something
blanks.
goofy. No, hold on. Let me go first
Hell
real quick.
nah.
I'm gonna just say something goofy because I've been seeing it on social media, and now I've started dying, bro. So they've been doing like these greater than posts, and then on one side they have Zendaya, and then on the other side they got the main like female character for that show, and they've been saying that she's greater than Zendaya, and dude, that stuff has been having me dead, more than dead.
That would be
But
on your
to
that
her,
would be on your explore page, bro.
no, oh,
I
stop,
was gonna
stop.
say,
Saw it on somebody's Snapchat story. Saw it on somebody's Snapchat story that probably thinks too similar to me. But I was looking at it and I was like, low key, they could be onto something. Because regardless, she's pretty bad. I'm just gonna state that out there. Hey, they did a great job on hiring the cast, which will lead into an actual point.
So I just real quick, I want to point out that his only real qualification for the cast so far is that the main female
That's what
is
I'm
bad.
saying.
So I just want to add
That's a
evidence
terrible
to my
way to
claim.
sell the show.
Before y'all destroy me, honestly, I was talking to
Bro.
Nico about it. I think they did a great job on casting. When I tell you that these characters to the T play out their roles so perfectly that like it's almost like when you have like if you're like playing a game and you have like certain type of characters that just have to be a certain way. They were able to perfectly, or like one of like the high school scenarios, like the jock, the nerd, the whatever. Like they were filling out their roles. I'm talking about to the T, and that made the show that much better because when you go through like their stories and you understand like what they went through to get to where they are, you honestly can feel for each character because each character is different, but each character was struggling with something else. And like you get to see the way it connects and meshes and interfolds and become, the show that we like for those who've watched it. But I'll probably let like Nate or Nico actually get into like a good like synopsis.
Yeah.
of
Other than the
the
bad
story.
females in the show, which they
Females? Multiple?
Nah, it's just female.
No,
The other female in
I
the show
know,
is
it's
actually-
just
bro.
one. The
No.
other one, bro,
No,
she
it's
gotta
more.
go, bro.
Don't
It's
even
the nose-
get into
over.
her, bro. Apparently,
the
nose,
her name
bro.
like translates to like Pretty Woman. The other one does, which is crazy.
The
But
no-
it plays
you,
off of the
you
character.
capping. Ain't no way.
I'm not.
Ain't no
Wow.
way.
Y'all can't be sleeping.
Wow.
Y'all can't be sleeping on the girl with the nose ring. Bro.
Oh yeah, Pretty Dose Woman. That's it. Period.
No, yeah.
To get into some more of the details of the show, I would describe like Squid Game is an anime for niggas who don't like animation, basically. So it has like it has your tropes, so like the certain character archetypes and everything. But the writing in that show and the ways it sets up a lot of some like the twists and like some of the suspenseful moments are like top notch. Which like a lot of the like Korean, or I think it's Korean shows do that a lot with some of the shows that they do.
Yup.
Like the way that they like set up like some of the like the end of the games and like the plot twists are like stuff you like never really expect, and they do such a good job on the characters because like I swear everyone had their favorite character. Shout out that nigga Ali, you feel what I'm saying? But everyone,
Hey, that was my boy too. That boy Ali.
Yeah.
He a G. That's all y'all need to know. He a G.
saying.
He a real guy. Real guy.
But like it's believable that every character, because these are basically people who have like nothing to live for, who have like nothing really to risk. So like they basically have a lot of like backstory, which like instead of making it long and drawn out like a lot of shows like that do, they actually do it pretty quick and kind of develop it within the story. So rather than you being like, oh, there's an episode of filler so I can learn about the main character, it's like every so often you learn more about the relationship between each other. So like the character development is A1 in that show. Low key a sleeper is the music in that show too, because it actually plays a lot into some of the suspense that a lot of people like. It makes it a lot more impactful when the crazy shit does happen. You're like even more surprised. So I honestly, especially if you can avoid spoilers, Squid Game is something crazy. So I definitely recommend it for sure.
Yeah, aside from me saying that shit fire, like I think if you're really into like thrillers, you'll really enjoy the show because throughout the whole 9-episode experience, you're like constantly on the edge of your seat, just like what's gonna happen next, like who's gonna get it next, like what's gonna happen, who's gonna win the game, all that stuff, and it's constantly going through your brain because the way they foreshadow the characters and like they have everybody interact is like there's no way you can really tell till later on in the show. So it really draws you in, and I just think it's overall a great experience if you're into that type of stuff. So definitely
And
check it out.
I'll just touch on the description since they didn't mention it. So pretty much, Squid Games is about a group of people that get asked to play a game. Now, at the time, you don't know anything about these people's backgrounds for the most part, but it's like this, I guess, famous game in Korea where you take like a piece of paper and you try to hit the paper on the ground and pop it up, and it like should flip. So they said if you make it flip, I think you get like 100,000 yen. And if you don't, then you owe them. But these people, they were broke. They in debt. So like he said, they were like, you know what? I got you. Instead of you owing me, I get to slap you in the face. And that was a test. Because the people that ended up actually making it to the game, these are people that continuously lost, and they kept eating these slaps up because they had like determination to get that money. And then after they finally won, they slid them a card, was like, hey, if you want to play more games like this, call this number, we got you. So pretty much, in summary, it's pretty much a show about people that have debt that cannot be paid off by normal means. So they get a huge opportunity to play 4 different games with a group of people. It's 6? See, that's what I get for not finishing the show completely. 6. Yeah, I watched it kind of weird, but that's beside the point. So 6 games. They get a chance to play 6 games, which at the end of the 6 games, whoever's left or like remains standing inside the contest gets to walk around with this huge sum of money. And you get to see pretty much all the actions that it takes to get there. And I'm going to leave it at that. We've kind of talked about all like the side things that we liked about it, but that's like the general gist of the story. So like I've been calling it, I think Nate calling it like an anime, that's pretty on point. I've been calling it a better version of the Hunger Games because to me it just reminded me of the Hunger Games. The second I heard it, I was like, and I really liked the Hunger Games, like the way like that story is written out. And I thought that this was better than that. So if you like the Hunger Games, definitely watch this. If you already watch anime, I don't know how you haven't watched this. And if you're into neither, stop being a bum and watch this. There we go.
For the anime watchers, it kind of reminds me of Dead Man Wonderland.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. For sure.
Oh, Dead Man Wonderland, man. Oh,
So it reminds me.
mixed feelings about that show, man.
But the manga, not the anime.
The manga, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about the show. Mixed feelings about the show, bro.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah. That's one of the ones that I had to take y'all advice and read the manga because the show was just weird. It was honest. I was honestly confused, and it wasn't like the confused like, oh, you got me. I was confused because it was weird. Like I was like, bro, what? What are y'all doing right now? No, it's a weird show, but they didn't like orchestrate the show right, if that makes sense. So that's why it was weird and I was confused. And then when I read the manga, I'm like, okay, there's one of those. So I agree. Yeah, very mixed feelings. I did like enjoy the show, but I enjoyed the manga like a lot more than the show, like a lot.
I
like it.
I am Dr. Bob.
Flapjack.
Dr. Bob.
Oh no, bro. My bad, guys. Y'all didn't hear that. So what's next, Zane?
Yeah.
Intermission,
this one I thought this was kind of funny. All right. This was kind of funny. And it's a question that I thought was funny. All right. Y'all might not think it's funny. But look, scenario. All right. Besides the basic necessities, food, water, you know what I'm saying? Food, water, clothes, yada, yada. Besides the basics, what's one thing that you don't think you can go a day without?
Jackson should say talking sus.
Oh hell no.
You should be looking at Instagram.
I am not gonna let him disrespect me like this publicly. I am not gonna let him disrespect me.
You thought you was gonna get away with that?
Josh, no way that you, Mr. Thirst Swiper, just came for
That's
me
what
out
I'm
here.
saying.
Just pull your phone up and we'll see what you don't live without,
Josh's
bro. We
name
just
is
gotta go through
Internet
your
I
Movie
don't
feed.
know why y'all are doing me like this, bro. These dudes are like they're taking
Josh the type of dude. Josh the type of dude starts sweating when Zendaya posts, bro. He get a single bead rolling down the side of his face. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, gotta comment on this thing."
Yeah. I was trying to defend you, Josh, but you exposed yourself on the last topic, so there's no help. The first thing this man said about Squid Game was somebody was bad, bro. So
it just cracked me up because I saw it on my feed. Like, look, you know what? Y'all just say I gotta stay away from media. But my thing is
you
this.
probably do.
What? Oh my god, stop. Look. Let me put it like this. A lot of the things that I mentioned isn't even on my feed. I see it on someone else's feed that I know. I didn't say all. I didn't say all. So I guess I'm hanging around with the wrong type of people or following the wrong type of people.
Nigga, don't put that on us.
Whoa,
Don't put that on
trying
us.
to blow that back on us, bro. What are you talking
He said
about?
my friends are just Vlad influencers, so I follow too many Instagram models.
That's on you.
I really tried that now, Nico, bro. You want to do Mr. Expose? Mr. Jordan Woods. Oh my God, she's so bad. Oh my God, I can't live without her. Please stop, bro. Look, we're boys, we're guys. Some of us do it to a higher degree than others. Why you looking at the camera like that? What you say? What?
No, Josh. Why did you try to start justifying it by some of us do it to a higher degree than others?
He said he's a connoisseur.
I wasn't even talking about myself.
He spins the wine in the glass. Some of us have a finer taste.
No. I wasn't even doing it like that because, like, I've seen, and I can't even say I personally know, but I've just seen some actual like creeps. That's what I was talking about at like the higher level type stuff. But it really shouldn't even be broken down to levels.
Bro? You're not high level.
He's an intermediate.
He's an intermediate. I'm just a normal ass dude, bro.
Since this man tried to answer for me, and so I'm gonna give an actual answer to your questions, because I think that's a good question. For me, like, besides the absolute bare necessities, I think one thing that I couldn't live without is like actual quality conversation. And it's only because, like, going through periods where you don't, like, for example, last year I had to go, like, I think it was 14 days in quarantine because I thought I had COVID, but I didn't, which was lucky. But it was at a time where COVID testing wasn't as readily available. So it actually might have been a little over a year ago because vaccine wasn't readily available either. So it was just a situation where you were forced to quarantine. And out of, like, respect for the people around me and classmates and my, like, older family members, it was a stay by myself in my apartment kind of thing. And I did not, like, set foot outside of my apartment at all for the better part of those 14 days. Like, I would open it to get delivery, and that was pretty much it. I was fortunate enough to be able to, like, get most of my groceries and stuff delivered. And so during those 14 days, admittedly, even though I talked to people, like, online, you know, like, I would have conversations with people, not getting to, like, sit down with a friend and just, like, you know, have a fun conversation, go get lunch, that kind of thing. It was awful. And I know that sounds like such a petty complaint, but for me personally, not having that, like, human connection, that contact it really, like, kind of weighs my world down, and it doesn't let me feel as, like, free as I normally do. So for me, that would be what it'd be having that kind of connection and conversation.
For me, well, actually, Jackson, I think you having conversation as yours I think that's a really good one, because honestly, that's a quality conversation is hard to come by anyways, you know. So, like, kind of throwing that away, that'd be tough. So I understand that, bro. For me, I would have to go with music. I don't know. I kind of just listen to music throughout my whole day, and I just can't imagine going a day without listening to music, because literally it gets me through, like, certain moods. You know, like, when I'm feeling happy, you know, it makes me, you know, it brings it up. You know, if I'm feeling down, it helps me, you know, mellow out type shit. So, I mean, honestly, it's just something that I don't think I can go without. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
I guess I'll try to stay away from, like, reusing stuff, because I definitely would have used one of the two that they said, but let me not do that. So I'd lead towards, I guess, the option of being able to, like, acquire, like, more knowledge. I I feel like if I'm like stuck in a
That's a
okay, like, let me
crazy answer.
That was a broad answer, bro.
no,
Hey,
like
bro.
I'm gonna
Hey,
explain. I'm
bro,
gonna.
Nico, Data or
Dude, bro,
die. Data or
the
Data or
die.
die.
Josh,
Data
Josh,
or die.
Josh,
Data
the
or
Oh
die.
option,
my
the option of being able to acquire more
I
knowledge
said what?
Hey,
is just
bro.
a big
I would be
answer.
a
I
very
agree
sad
with you.
program
I agree
without the
with you.
option
I
to
agree with you
upgrade
You
my
mean a
mind.
wholeheartedly.
book? Google, bro? What is the option, bro?
No, okay, so if you only have bare necessities, you that means you just have everything you need to survive. But like, okay, you know what? I guess I'll just sum it down to like education. But I'll use education to explain myself pretty much. So, besides like liking to talk to people and listen to music, I like love to just like learn, and not in the sense of like, oh, I like school, but more like I just like to learn and better myself and pick up like new information or like stuff that's new to me, and because I feel like that just helps you grow as a person. So like not having the ability to really like learn and improve yourself at like an exponential level, because what, we're gonna be stuck on an island. Like, look, you finna learn how to survive on the island and that's it. You chilling, you're not doing much. But like not having the opportunity to like learn, and then also like that leads into like learning more about yourself and helping yourself grow, that would kind of suck. That like we're gonna be stuck like this. So whatever you got, that's you for the rest of your life. That would suck for me not to be able to reach a older age and really like mature like the way I was supposed to. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna mature there with like the people I'm with. But if I'm by myself in this instance, then that's just tough. So I miss being able to learn, I guess, at the way I'm able to now. Sorry for such the broad topic, but yeah.
It's just fun to make fun of you.
So the question is, what can you not live out on like a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah, like what is something that you don't think like you like? Let's say it's you now, like not like a dumbed down, like it's you right now, and you had to take away one thing. Like, what do you think that thing that you would miss the most would be? Like, what do you think you can't let them take away? Basically,
I'm
like,
not even finna lie. We got the introspective answers out the way. The improve myself, be better human type of answers. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I can't live without my midday nap. I'm gonna keep it a buck because that's my reset for me to actually be able to like grind like I'm supposed to. Even when I was working like a 9 to 5, as soon as I get off of work, give me that 30 minutes real quick, so I can actually reset, get my mind right, and actually be able to enjoy my day. Because some of these days we be having are long as hell, and I don't know if I'm stranded in the islands in Tahiti somewhere. It might not be as long, but currently right now, hey, that 30 minutes before I reset and start studying and go back to my classes is really crucial. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you get overwhelmed a lot of stuff on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes I feel like it's real important to just take a break just for a little bit, so you don't really slack off too much and actually be able to, take a break, relax a little bit, compose yourself, and be able to hit it back strong. So, I don't really have all the good answers Loki was took. Music was probably my first answer, but if I had to keep it above with y'all, it'd probably be that little reset, good little nap in the middle of the day. You feel
The lime in the coconut.
yeah,
Hell no.
no, I think one thing that I wouldn't be able to go without, um, just me personally, and this might sound weird, is like comedians and like funny content creators, like, cause there's so many times where like I'll be in a bad mood. I'm talking about I don't know, I'll just be in a bad mood, and like one of these ugly dudes, bruh, one of these ugly dudes will send me something so funny that like it literally just turns my day around because I am in disbelief in what I'm looking at. Like I don't believe it. I'm like, first of all, I'm filled with so many questions. It's like, first of all, how did you find this? Second of all, why did you come across this? Like, was this recommended to you? Because if it was, I think we're gonna have to renegotiate so the terms of our friendship contract, because
Oh,
hell no.
that's some weird
it's
shit.
like that, bro.
This man said the companion covenant, bro.
Oh, bro, nah. You showed me some weird shit, bro.
Who?
You, you.
5 cents
Bro.
listeners, he is lying. Okay,
No, he's not.
it ain't
Not
that
at all.
weird.
I'm lying.
He is no,
But
he's not.
yeah,
He ain't
like,
capping. Stop it.
because just being able to laugh is like such a big thing to me. Like I'm socially selective, so like my days look like I'm usually just closed off, reserved to myself, and I'm just kind of you know solitary. But like being able to still have that good laugh, by myself or with other people, with my friends and shit, like that does it right there. Cause man, I wish I could. I'm not gonna do them like that, but if only y'all knew these videos are hilarious. Whew. We gotta get Alex on here, bro.
Hey, bro,
That
just
man's the
Right.
have
king
him.
with the
He's
goofy
Hey,
videos,
he
bro.
is the king.
Alex,
if y'all blow the
he
podcast
is
up enough, we can have a
he
Discord
is
for
the
it.
Twitter meme king.
I swear.
Bro,
I don't know how he finds some of that stuff, bro. It makes
He'd be
no
like,
sense.
it'd be like, what is that? Like, oh hell no, bro.
never fails to impress me though. Never fails to impress me though.
I agree. And on like the type of like timing I guess Nate is on, I just wanted to throw something in there, which is probably something that a lot of us could have lived without, but at least in like this group. So I have found that I think I'm not gonna say every day, but it's like close. That I've watched like an episode of some sort of anime. And for that to just be like stripped, like as weird as this sounds, I feel like all that like anime watchers will understand like it is like somewhat like shaped me to like who I am and like kind of like develop like my sense of like I guess like comedic relief and like the sense of like the type of people I interact with. A lot of the people that I interact with happen to, just also watch anime. It's almost like something that like helps you like get like closer together, like form a bond. And like for me not doing that, because like if I'm like mad, like I can literally just like get pissed off. Like my friends like on the game piss me off. They sold the bag. I'd be like, yeah, I'm hopping off. What I do, I don't go to sleep. I watch a couple episodes of anime because like it helps me like wind down, get a couple laughs in, or if it's like real serious, like divine my attention to something else and like lose track of like what's going on. If I'm sad, like the same thing, I'll just like put on like a comedy anime and just crack up for like a little bit and then do something else. So just taking that out of like my day to day, like it would be different. Like I would know that like I'm missing something, that sort of thing. So like I'd also throw that in there. Sorry for having to, but just so that would be something interesting to throw in.
Man,
All right. I think that about wraps it up, man. Hey, everybody, thank y'all for listening. This is the 5 Cents Podcast. You know what it is. Any last words?
No, I just thank y'all for listening. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and feel free to leave us a comment on anything you want to hear us talk about, or any nonsense that you want to say. If you want to start an argument, we can start an argument in the comments. I just give us some feedback, let us know how we're doing, and keep tuning in. Thank you so very much.
for me, I just want to say thank y'all for listening. The constant support is much appreciated. Please interact, like the comments, like all that stuff. Like make sure y'all do it because we want to interact with y'all, see what y'all think. See some topics y'all are coming up with. Maybe talk about those. So do y'all's thing. We'll do ours. So keep on, supporting.
I'll go ahead and hit us with like the damn it, the ending. So
Spotify,
every
Stitcher.
video.
No.
No,
The,
but for
the
sure.
discount codes.
No, but really, thank you guys for watching, tuning in, and like sticking with us. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're on everything, and for audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher. Nate hit me with it, but we're on all audio platforms, and of course, if you're watching on the YouTube, then you already know that we're on YouTube. But be sure to leave like comments, likes if it's on YouTube, 5 stars if it's on audio platforms, because that also helps get us out there so more people can hear this hideousness that that we preach. And we're also we do have a Discord. I don't think it's linked in anything like currently.
Yeah, we don't need to
So
advertise that right now.
No.
Yeah, we'd have to. We'd have to.
we don't need to
we'd have to do a
advertise that
bit.
at the
Yeah, we'd
moment.
have to do a bit more work on that, Josh. There's some
Nah.
roles that need to be set up. And stuff.
Okay, just know that that's coming, and we'll keep y'all posted. But that should be a good time right there. But I'm gonna leave that at that. Thank you guys for watching.
Yep, I think the guy summed it up, man. Appreciate y'all for coming through for another podcast. If y'all want to hear anything specific, got some topic ideas, feel free to let us know in the comments. Even want to just hear some more ugly nonsense or keep up with the guys outside the podcast, we got all our socials below too. So keep us posted on that, and appreciate y'all for listening.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.
Take it easy.